Hey, what's up? It's your boy BobbySapphire, and today we are here to do one of my favorite videos that I do. It's my Set 6 table mechanic video. There are so many new rules, and these ones are the most complicated rules Star Wars Unlimited has ever had. Don't mess up. Let's check it out. Luke, we're gonna have company! Alright, got a lot of ground to cover today, class. First of all, I don't know if you watched the Munich stream from this past weekend, but everyone needs a shuffling reminder. What do the rules say about shuffling? We're going to go over it and give you some strategies on how to do it right. Next, we're going to talk about the plot mechanics with a special guest speaker, Han Solo 4 from the Jump to Lightspeed set. Then, we have another guest speaker. We've got Leia from Secrets of Power to talk to us about Disclose and Disclose mechanics. Then, we're going to come back here, talk to me about the most complicated card in Star Wars Unlimited, Condemn. Okay, and the first thing we're going to talk about today is shuffling. I just watched the entire 2-day stream of the Sector Qualifier in Munich, and I saw some extremely suspect shuffling. So I want to talk specifically about what's in the rules and what I recommend. The rules state pile shuffling is not shuffling, which is true. It's not randomization. However, a lot of people will do a pile shuffle to make sure that they have all their cards. And I highly recommend, if you're the type of person who's concerned that you left cards behind or you might not have all the cards, you do a quick pile shuffle. Exactly one pile shuffle, no more. This lets you count your cards, and ideally, you end with 50. In this case, I know I'm missing a card. I just happen to pull a random stack of cards. I didn't know if there were actually 50 here. But if you're missing a card, go through your deck box, find your previous opponent. The rules state you need to shuffle at least 7 times. 7 times, and ideally with 2 different shuffles types. The most common shuffle type for card players in gaming is take half, loosely set one half on top of the other, and push them through. Don't jam them, don't mash them, especially when you're shuffling someone else's deck. And then for me, I use the 2 strategies of I'll take from the bottom and I'll generally just flip them in and out. I think it's better to stay on top because sometimes you end up flashing the cards to yourself or an opponent. So just like that. And then I'll go back and I'll do several more of these. In rare instances, I'll do a single riffle shuffle. In general, it bends your sleeves, it bends your cards, and you shouldn't do it to anybody else's. Shuffle 60 seconds to a minute and a half, 60 to 90 seconds. Present your deck. This is an important part. You present to your opponent, you allow them to cut. Now, when someone presents to you, you have 2 options. You can cut, and honestly, one of the things that I think people should really do is watch their opponents when they're shuffling. I always look to see how my opponent is shuffling. If my opponent is shuffling and they're talking to me and everything looks on the up and up, I just give a simple cut. Sometimes I'll do a double cut. Sometimes I'll do a triple cut. If you cut your opponent's deck, that's it. They have to take it. They have to play with it. When your opponent presents the deck, and if I think that my opponent didn't shuffle, sometimes people just present and they're like, oh, I shuffled beforehand. Well, in that case, you do want to take their cards and shuffle them. Because you can flash cards to yourself, it's really important that you keep the cards face down and either look directly at your opponent and make eye contact, or I like to just look away. Look off into the distance. Think about the sunset. I know you can't see me, but I'm looking far off to the left. The bottom of the deck is to the right, if anything, and I'm looking left. And I'm shuffling my opponent's deck. Now, the only hiccup here is, if your opponent is being shady, and you've shuffled their deck, they do get to cut it. So when you present the deck back, if they have some way of knowing what's in their deck and how, they get to cut one more time. One of the reasons why I like to cut and not shuffle is so that my opponent can no longer manipulate their deck. So a deck is presented to me, I cut, that's it. My opponent can't touch it, they can't shuffle, they can't cut again. That's it. But if you shuffle for them, they do get to cut it. So it's one thing to consider. Okay, so one of the reasons why I do these table mechanics videos is because I've been told, and I really try to aspire to, have really clean table mechanics. We're going to look at this Han 4 situation, and just off the bat, like, my resources are by 2s, or since this is the 5th resource turn, I have one here. My initiative token is by the base. I've got my hand token on my hand. When I play my units, I try and keep them in clean positions. I try and put sentinels up front, protected units in the back. Now let's talk about plot. The way plot works is when you deploy your leader, you reveal any plot cards you're going to play. So let's pretend our units are ready. Okay, normally when you deploy a leader, you reveal whatever plots you want. So let's say I wanted to play Sudden Ferocity. I flip Han, I reveal Sudden Ferocity, I pay the 3 resources, put the Sudden Ferocity on Han, playing it, and put a card down in my resource pile, exhausted. Now, let's say we wanted to play more than one plot. We would deploy Han, we would flip Sneaking Suspicion and Sudden Ferocity. We'd pay, well, I guess we'd pay 3 to play the Sudden Ferocity, put a card down, and then we would pay the other 2 to play the Sneaking Suspicion and put a card down into our resource row. You have to reveal first. That is so, let's say we were in this position where we flip Han, we reveal Sudden Ferocity, we pay 3, play the Sudden Ferocity, put a card down, we peek, oh, it's Sneaking Suspicion, I want to play the Sneaking Suspicion. You can't do that. That doesn't work. So you've got to reveal them all at the same time and then pay and play. Now Han is interesting because his when deployed ability says, when deployed as an upgrade, for each friendly unit or upgrade that has an odd cost, ready a resource. So the way Han works is that we can deploy him as a pilot onto our Sabine's Masterpiece. Okay. Now, we order the abilities. When deployed, we reveal plots. When deployed, he can ready resources. So let's say we want to reveal Sudden Ferocity and Sneaking Suspicion. We can play both. We can play the Sudden Ferocity. We can play this and replace it. We can play the Sneaking Suspicion and replace. Ready all 5. And still play the Cassian here. But what if you want to play all plots with Han? Well, we can reveal 2 Sudden Ferocities and a Sneaking Suspicion. All right, we pay for the first Sudden Ferocity. Put a card down. We play Sneaking Suspicion. Put a card down. We resolve our Han trigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resources. Now we can play Sudden Ferocity again. That's how Han works. Now, this is interesting. Let's say we flip Han. This time we'll put him on red 5. Okay. We're going to reveal our plots. All right, we want to play these 3 plots. I'm going to resolve Sudden Ferocity first. I'll do this one. Put the Sudden Ferocity on. I replace it with Cassian. Now, I've revealed the 3 plots. I can pay 2, put the Sneaking Suspicion on, replace it. Now, I can trigger Han's ability, ready all 5, and now I can decline to play the Sudden Ferocity because I drew the Cassian. And now, instead of playing the second Sudden Ferocity, I want to play a little bit cleaner of a board state. Later in the turn, I want to be able to play my Cassian. So if you reveal a plot that you no longer want to play, you can flip it back down if you don't do it. This gets really complicated, but you just have to remember all plots are revealed when you flip your leader. Han's ability is in the same timing window as revealing plots. Plots are played after the leader deploy. So you reveal, and then you play. And as soon as you play, the card is immediately replaced. And you play your cards one at a time, just like any other situation. So we can play our Sudden Ferocity, We can play our Sneaking Suspicion, ready our resources, and then we can continue playing plots, or we can stop and flip that face down. Okay, quick plot recap. When you deploy your leader, you can play plot cards. How do you do that? When you deploy your leader, you reveal any plot cards you want to play from your resource row. You play them one at a time. You pay, replace it immediately. Then you can go to the next plot. Play it, replace it immediately. You don't play two and replace two. You do it one at a time. Now let's talk about the Disclose mechanic. Disclose is pretty simple. You have a card with Disclose, Leia. Disclose is a symbol. The symbols are on our cards here. And in a lot of cases with Disclose, you just disclose a simple, like Nalase. If we're attacking with Nalase, we may disclose 2 blue, 1, 2, and get this effect. Heal up to 4 damage from among other units. We revealed it from our hand. Great. Leia is a little bit more complicated in that she requires that none of the cards you disclose share an aspect with the card you're trying to give the experience token to. So if we have this experience we want to give, and we have a Nalase in play, we can reveal Crate Veteran. It doesn't share a symbol, so Nalase would get the +1/+1. We could do the same with a Daro Commando and get the +1/+1. We can splash Beguile in our deck and get the +1/+1. We couldn't do it with Wilro Hood because they share a blue icon, a vigilance icon. We couldn't do it with Populous Champion because they share a vigilance icon. We could do it with Kino Aloy. Couldn't do it with Donnie Pilgrim. So one of the things that you really want to pay attention to when both playing Leia and playing Disclose in general is resourcing. The set hasn't been out more. The set technically isn't even out yet, and I've played enough games with Nemec to know that I need to keep red cards in my hand whenever I'm playing Nemec. Or same with Thunderous Applause. You want to make sure that when making your resource decisions, your hand doesn't look like this when you need to reveal a command icon. So just remember with Leia, they can't share it all. That's why when you build your Leia deck, it's really great to have several neutral cards, a splash card, and if you have heroics, you want to make sure you keep neutrals in your deck. And if you have a lot of neutrals, you want to make sure you keep heroics in your deck. Get those heroic cards in. Hopefully that helped explain how Disclose works and what to keep in mind when playing Leia. Okay, quick Disclose recap. When a card asks you to disclose, you reveal aspect icons from cards in your hand that match what is demanded on the card. You may reveal more than is necessary. This is important because you might have a double red card in your hand, double aggression, and an aggression and a heroic, but you only need to reveal aggression, heroic. That means you're revealing 3 aggressions, not a big deal. You can reveal more than is necessary. If you don't meet the full disclose requirement, you are not considered to have revealed the cards. That means you can't just reveal things to reveal them with Ray or any other trigger without fully meeting the disclose requirement. All right, we have to talk about the most complicated card in Star Wars Unlimited, Condemn. Condemn is a condition upgrade that plays on a unit. Ideally, you're playing it on your opponent's unit. It gives +0/+0, but while attached, the unit is attacking. This is important. This is only in effect when the unit is attacking. It gains, quote, the appearance of this quotation marks is really important. It gains this text. On attack, the defending player may disclose vigilance villainy. If they do, this unit gets -6/-0 for this attack. End quotes. That is what it gains for that attack. However, and loses all other abilities, that is blanket. That is there in effect always during the attack. That means that loses all other abilities text prevents any other when attacking triggers, on attack triggers, and any other effects from being added to your card. The on attack trigger that discloses and gives -6/-0, that is a trigger. But the lose all other abilities is blanket. I can't emphasize that enough. That's why Han doesn't put down a resource, because he's already lost the ability. The only thing that triggers is the on-attack disclose mechanic that gives the -6/-0. That's how it works. Let's take a look at all of the things Condemn shuts off. Okay, screen cap this image. Save it to your phone. Condemn, it works only active during an attack. It turns off all on-attack abilities. Raid, Restore, Grit, Overwhelm, Saboteur only when defeating shields. It does not prevent you from attacking a base instead of a sentinel. You can do that because you choose your attacker before attacking. So you can attack base, you can subvert the sentinel. You just don't get to defeat the shields. It gets rid of all when defeated abilities. It gets rid of when this unit deals damage abilities and when this unit completes an attack abilities. All of these effects return when the attack is over. It is only in effect during the attack. All right, I hope you found this video beneficial. Please practice your shuffling. Even in between rounds, I shuffle. Shuffle your deck. Do it right. Make sure you know how plot works, especially with Han 4. It's a messy trigger. Disclose, watch those cards you keep in your hand. Make sure you can trigger all of your Disclose, especially that pesky Leia. And lastly, make sure you know how Condemn works. Hopefully you took a picture of that and you always have it with you so you can remind your opponents this is how it works. Trust Bobby. He told me. Thanks for watching. See you next time.